You know, we all love Chet Atkins. I think he's universally loved, but I think one of the greatest compliments in the world would be, as a guitar picker, to know that you were respected and admired by Chet Atkins. And here are two guys that he particularly admires, R.L. Cass and Pat Bergeson, and they're going to be doing a song called Take a Look at Her Now.
Great to see you. Hey, R.L. Come on over here. We make it hard for you to get to the set, don't we? Sorry.
I understand you guys wrote that song, you two?
Yeah.
Well, he wrote about 95% of it, and I wrote just one little lick that goes. It's the other way
Best
around.
lick in the thing, yeah, I remember.
You liar.
You wrote that one lick, but you get half the royalties, right?
Right.
There you go. That's the way to do it. Well, now, Chet, how did you get hooked up with Pat and R.L. here?
Well, I first met R.L., I think, up in Connecticut, right?
Yeah, you were doing a workshop up there.
Yeah, I went up for that, and then I started hearing demos of his, and I heard this great guitar player on the demos, and of course it turned out to be Mr. Bergeson here, B-E-R-G-E.
Sneaking around.
G-E-S-O-N.
Pat and I did a little demo at the house of Sneaking Around, Chet's title cut on his last album.
Right, yeah.
And I thought I had to get Pat to move down somehow, so I figured, well, maybe if I introduce him to Chet, he'll move down here. If he can get some work, you know. Because he's basically doing bar mitzvahs in Brooklyn, you know. And so I took it over and played it for Chet, and he goes, "Who's that guitar player? He's pretty good." I said, "Well, that's Paul Bergeson.
Paul Bergeson.
Paul Bergeson, huh?
No, I said, that's Pat Bergeson. He said, well, when he comes to town, you bring him over. I'd like to meet him.
Don't sound like that, do it?
No, you don't.
No, you don't. That's just
I
mine.
thought I sounded like Walter Cronkite.
You do. Very believable, very warm and friendly. But Pat, you know, it is true. A lot of people have told us that initially being around somebody as legendary as Chet, it can make you very nervous, and sometimes you feel like you don't do your best work. So how are you able to kind of come in and impress the guy?
Well, I don't know, Chad. How do I?
He's
come
a
in?
lot better player than I am.
No,
it's
definitely
easy
not.
to impress me.
Well, actually, I don't know. Chet didn't strike me that way the first time I met him. I felt real comfortable
He
around
plays a
him.
different style, really, and gets different sounds, and that's what I appreciate about him. He holds pick right out on the very end. It's weird, and gets the most beautiful sounds. I like that.
Thank you,
Flying
Chad.
out in the air.
Yeah, sometimes it goes flying, but anyway, I first time I worked with Chet, he called me to play on his record with him and Jerry Reed on the Sneaking Around record, and RL wrote that tune, Sneaking Around, and so Chet called me and left a message on my machine up in Brooklyn and asked me to come down and play on the record, and I thought someone was joking around with me, you know, of course.
Oh, I bet.
And then I came down, and Chet and Jerry Reed were down in his basement, and I was nervous for about 5 minutes, and these guys, after about 5 minutes, I felt like I was hanging out with my two buddies, you know, and
Well, you know, Chet
had a great time.
Chet has been quoted in some of the guitar magazines and all as saying that he feels that you two guys play with great intelligence and feeling. Now, I understand the feeling part, but what does that mean to play with intelligence?
Well, I think it's basically getting out of the realms of 1, 4, 5. You know, and if you know music.
What is 1, 4, or 5?
Yeah, what is that? I don't know what that is.
The one chord, for example, would be E, and then 4 up would be A, and then 5 chord would be, the 5/7 chord would be B, which is basically every country
Right.
song you hear in town.
So breaking out of the norm,
And
kind
so,
of
yeah,
using your
getting-
brain
yeah.
and creating some new things.
Just
then.
doing something a little bit different, you know, there's
Well, I'd had a jazz background, and RL
I
is
stole
Ted.
I stole a bunch of licks from him, so a bunch of chords, you know. I like chords, different chords and different tunings. So you go to use different open tunings, then you come up with different sounds. I don't know anything at all about music, but I have maybe a little bit of ears.
A little bit of ear there.
Yeah.
We're going to have a battle of the tapes here because both Pat and Chet have instructional videos out. This is Pat's called
Show Pat's first and talk about
Contemporary
it mostly.
Improvisation. So is this for somebody, Pat, who pretty much has the basics down?
Yeah, it goes through the fundamentals, you know, scales and that kind of thing, and then I talk about improvisation and how to approach it, and I give some examples and that kind of thing, and it's 2 hours long. It's the Gone with the Wind of instructional videos.
1-800-347-7790. How much does this cost?
It's $49.95, and if you come to the Chet Atkins convention this week, it's $40. For only $40.
For only $40, you too can play guitar. And Chet Atkins has one out, critically acclaimed, Get Started on Guitar. Now, I know nothing about guitar. Could I learn from watching this video, Chet?
Oh yeah, you could. It's for beginners. Pat's is for more advanced players, I think, and mine is for beginners. And I don't want to lead anybody astray about that because it's not for good players. They already know all that stuff.
Right. 1-800-800-5856. And perhaps you can sound and play like Chet. We're going to take a quick break. Back in just a minute.
Here's where you'll find Chet Atkins in concert. Up next, a song from Chet's buddies, Martin Taylor, internationally